What's up everyone, welcome back to Meathead Gaming. My name is Roland, this is the best channel that nobody watches, except a few special people like yourself, and today we're gonna discuss the cheaper end of knives. I mean, I do say cheap, but you still pay a lot of money for pixels. Now that being said, let's go ahead and look at the top 10 knives under 150 euros. A quick note would be that I take all my prices from the official Steam market, so no third-party sites involved, so just keep that in mind when I point out these knives. Also, it's not gonna be always the cheapest price available. For most of these knives, I am looking at the highest offer, highest bid, which is under 150 euros, so it is reasonable when I put these knives into this category. Okay, let's start off with an honorable mention, and that would be the flip knife Black Laminate. I like this knife a lot. I think you can actually get it under 100 also, or close to 100 euros. I have featured it in my top 10 knives under 100 euros, so I think this is still a good option if you are in the market within this price, and it's gonna be cheaper, so you're gonna have some spare money to spend on something else in case that's what you would like to do. Okay, now that being said, let's jump into the top 10, and we're gonna start off with the Talon knife Night Stripe in well-worn condition. Now, this is not the best looking knife, or by far, but it is a Talon knife, a decent looking one for the money, and I think this could be a good option if you like this type of knives, or maybe even if you like the karambit, because these knives are very similar. And although people always, at least in the beginning, hated on the Talon knife because it was just a karambit ripoff, I strongly disagree, and I think this is a good option if you are within this budget, and maybe if you are into some clean looking skins, not crazy colored ones. Granted, the Night Stripe pattern might not be to your liking, but I think this is still a good option. It's on the top 10, it's on the 10th place in this top, and you can also pair it up with some driver gloves Lunar weave, which could make for a good combination, and it wouldn't break the bank, as the gloves are also on the cheaper end of things, so you have options there in case that is what you are looking for. At number 9 we have the survival knife in stained condition, minimal wear. So if you like the new knives, I think the survival knife is one of the better ones, joined by the skeleton knife. It's gonna be minimal wear, so it will be quite shiny, and this is quite a good knife for this budget. Also, it has some very nice bonus pull-out animations and the inspection. I think it's a decent knife, and if you are lucky, you might actually get it also in a StatTrak. If you get it in field tested, it's up to you if you are into that. Maybe you prefer it to be a little bit more shinier and you get it in minimal wear. But I do think that this is a good option if you are looking for a knife within this budget. Up next, at number 8, we have the Crimson Web Gut Knife. Now, I said this in the past, the gut knives are the most horrible knives in the game, in my humble opinion. But, that being said, in some of the color patterns, I think it looks quite good. The Crimson Web is one of them, and you could also get it in the minimal wear. So it would be a low float knife, and the Crimson Web is a very nice pattern. It's one of my favorite patterns, so I think it's a good looking knife. The handle is black. You might also get it in the minimal wear. If you are lucky, you can get it in StatTrak minimal wear, which is, I think it's a bonus. I think it's a good looking knife, and it would actually, because of the handle, which is all black, it would go well with the default gloves on the T side, and also on the CT side up to a certain point. So I think this is a good option if you are in this price, and hence this is the number 8 on our list. Up next, at number 7, we have the classic knife Blue Steel in the minimal wear condition. Now, I don't think that Valve did a good job with the classic knife. I think the pull-out animation is a little bit whack. I don't like it. I don't like the knife particularly. I think it would have been much better if they would have just kept the classic pull-out animation, the classic movements of the knife. It would have been better, in my humble opinion. Now, that being said, considering your budget, I think this classic knife looks really good. It's very clean because it's a blue steel pattern, which is one of my favorites. It's underappreciated, the blue steel, in my opinion, and I think it's good. It's a good looking knife, and it will also go very well with both of the gloves in the default layout for the agents. So on the T side you have black gloves, which will go well with the handle. Then you will have a dark blue, which would go well with the blade of the knife. So even out of the gate you would have a nice combination there if you're interested in that, if you care at all about that. So I think this is a good option, and that's why it's number 7 on our list. Up next at number 6 we have the Shadow Daggers Marble Fade. Now, we are not big fans of Shadow Daggers in general, from what I can see, and that applies to me also. Now, that being said, I think in the Marble Fade pattern, I think this is a very good looking knife. Now, there are options if you care at all about gloves. I think these knives would go super well with the Moto Gloves POW. And you can get those like around 200 euros in battle scarred condition, which is decent. Combine it with this knife, I think it would look quite well. As I said before, Shadow Daggers, not the best of knives, but they are decent, and this is one of the better patterns that you can find out there, the Marble Fade. So if you are into bright colors and you are on this budget, I think this is a good option for you. Coming up at number 5 we have the Falchion knife Slaughter in minimal wear condition, or the Falchion knife Tiger Tooth in factory new. Now, granted, the Tiger Tooth is a little bit out of budget by the time I started editing. You can still find it between 150 and 160. So I thought I would put this knife in also. And on the number 5 spot, as you can see, I've put 2 knives because it really comes down on what color you prefer. If you prefer a red knife, then the Slaughter is a very good option at this price. And also, if you like a yellow one, you can choose that one. Now, personally, I like them both equally, almost, I would say. So I can't really suggest anything there. It all comes down to your preferences. Now, both patterns are quite prestigious, quite good looking. So although it is a Falchion knife, I think in this color pattern it's an acceptable choice. It's more than acceptable, actually. It's a very good looking choice in my humble opinion. And that's why it's on the number 5 spot. Coming up at number 4 we have the Flip Knife Freehand in factory new form. Now, I do think that this pattern is quite unseen. You don't really see knives with this pattern when you play. I think it's underappreciated. If you like purple color, then I think this is a very good option, as opposed to spending hundreds and thousands of dollars or euros on a sapphire. I think this is a very, very good option. The flip knife is quite in the middle ground, in my humble opinion, when it comes to the knives. And the freehand is quite good looking, so I think this is a good option for you. It is factory new, so there will be no wear on it. Also, a small mentioning, if you are into StatTrak knives, you could get the StatTrak field tested one, which is this one. It looks almost identically as the factory new one, to be honest with you. And you would have a StatTrak knife, which is quite cool if you care at all, but if not, you can get the factory new one. I think they basically look the same. On the number 3 spot today in our list, it is the Bayonet Stained in field tested condition. I think the Bayonet is one of my favorite knives, at least it's top 3 with the M9 and the butterfly knife, and the Stained is also one of my favorite patterns, just because it's usually not super expensive and they look respectable. They are underrated in my opinion, you don't see them that much. So that's why it would be a nice bayonet to have, actually. It's all brown, so you might not be a big fan of it, but in game I think it looks very good. Also, quick mentioning, if you are into gloves, you can get a nice Moto Glove boom for this knife, or a Bloodhound Snakebite, or the last but not least, the hand wraps leather. I think all 3 options are good. They're not super expensive, you can get them in the higher floats also, and they still look quite good with this knife, and it would have a certain type of look. At number 2 we have the Bayonet Blue Steel in well-worn condition. Now, there's not much to say about this, guys. I think this is a clean looking knife. It's a bayonet, which is quite awesome. I like bayonets, as I said before. The blue steel pattern is also very good looking. They go very well hand in hand. It's a clean knife. Quite high class, if you ask me. If that's even a category when you talk about Counter-Strike skins. But if you are into clean skins and you are within this budget, I think there are no better options than this one, except the following one on the number 1 spot in today's list. And coming up at the number 1 spot in today's top 10 list of knives under 150 euros is gonna be the M9 Stained in battle scarred condition. Granted, it doesn't look very different from the other wares, it's a little bit less shiny, but it's not as bad as some of the other stained knives in battle scarred. And come on, you would have an M9, you would have a stained pattern, which is the middle ground, but the M9 is on the higher end when it comes to knives. I think there's no better option than this knife when it comes to this budget. And although you might not be a big fan of the stained pattern, I think having an M9 within this budget is quite awesome, and you wouldn't have to pick up one of those green skins, which are quite ugly most of the times. I think the stained pattern is above them, so it is within this budget, and I think this is the best knife for 150 euros. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you appreciate the work that I put into the channel, maybe share the channel with your friends, hit up a like, and leave me a comment. That would help. But I'm gonna stop selling out right now, and I'm gonna wish you a lovely evening, lovely morning, lovely day, wherever you are, however you are. Stay safe and always stay strong.